Hey folks, and first of all, happy holidays. I hope you're all having a wonderful time, because it is a wonderful time of year, a magical time of year. Speaking of magic, Black Clover has a game. The segue. The segue is terrible. That's right, today we're talking about the recently announced Black Clover Quartet Knights, and I need to start this video with a disclaimer. I'm not a Black Clover fan. I've watched the anime, at least the episodes that have come out so far, and I don't really like it. But even if I don't like the anime, that doesn't mean I cannot enjoy the game. Still, if you guys think I'm not the best person to be covering this, if you'd rather watch someone else's video, I totally understand that point of view. I just wanted to be upfront, be honest, because I'm not going to pretend that I like Black Clover when I really do not. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the game. What is it? First of all, what is this game? It is being advertised as a 4v4 third-person shooter, but in reality it kind of looks like another arena brawler like many other anime games that we've seen. Both genres are actually correct. I think this game is heavily inspired by the Gundam games, and if you're not familiar, the Gundam games are very popular in Japan, and they are indeed arena fighters, as you've grown used to watching anime games be, but several Gundam have this shooting mode which turns the game into a third-person shooter and mixes all of that up with the arena brawling. And that seems to be exactly what's happening here. Now, I'm not saying this is a copy of a Gundam game, not at all. A third-person shooter with Black Clover's magical abilities might be very unique. I'm just saying that it was probably the inspiration, the Gundam inspiration, probably. And if you understand where their inspiration is coming from, the game becomes pretty easy to understand, at least the concept behind it becomes pretty clear. A third-person shooter where you choose a character and each character has a different type or different magical abilities. But at the same time, it's also an arena brawler because, as we know, there's at least one character that cannot use magic, and that is the main character of the show, Asta. In the trailer, you see him wielding two swords, and these two swords neutralize all magic in the anime. I mean, I assume it's all magic. What do I know? I've only watched like 10 or 12 episodes. Maybe there's some very powerful magic that Asta can't neutralize with his sword. I mean, he's got two swords in the trailer. I didn't even know he was gonna get a second sword, so thanks for that spoiler, I guess. But anyway, let's get back to the game. Most of the characters in the trailer use magic as projectile attacks. So, being in an arena fighting other magic knights, you'll be aiming your spells and shooting them towards other players. And we fully expect, based on other games of this genre that we've seen, that each character has a pretty decent amount of abilities, even if those abilities always follow a certain theme. For instance, let's look at one of the characters in the trailer, Magna. Magna is a knight who generates and manipulates fire, so usually he will be throwing fireballs or hitting them with a baseball bat. And in the anime, we've already seen a variety of techniques from this guy, from throwing many weak projectiles towards an enemy, making it hard to dodge, or throwing a single very powerful fireball. And that's something that I think we can expect from all the characters in the game. A variety of attacks that range from hard to dodge, weaker stuff, stronger stuff, abilities with all kinds of properties around them. Now, some characters will have more of a brawler style of fighting. The main character, Asta, as we've talked about, he cannot use magic, so he cannot throw projectiles like all of these other characters. What we'll end up seeing probably is Asta just swinging his swords from melee combos. We actually see a little bit of that in the trailer, but is he gonna be the only guy that does melee combos? No, I don't think so. In fact, I think some characters will be able to do both. They will have like a sort of balanced playstyle where they can throw projectiles, but also play from melee range. Let's look at another character that shows up in the trailer, Luck Volcha. You see him performing a melee combo just like Asta, but earlier in the trailer you also see him trying to shoot Yami with lightning projectiles while running in a circle. And that's what I mean, characters don't need to be purely ranged or purely melee. This hybrid playstyle could apply to other characters as well. For instance, Yami himself, he's running around with a katana, so I fully expect to be able to unleash some melee combos on my enemies, but he's also a magic user, a very powerful magic user who's able to generate darkness, so he could also have some ranged attacks. And the more we talk about these different properties, the more it sounds like we'll be seeing character types popping up sooner or later as more stuff gets announced. Similar to how Shinobi Striker has the attack types, the range types and stuff like that, I think we're gonna see something very similar with Black Clover Quartet Knights. Not necessarily the same types of characters, but different types for sure. This being a team-based game, 4v4, picking team compositions is gonna be very important. We already see some combos in the trailer. For instance, there's this one where Yuki traps the enemy in a tornado while Magna hits them with a fireball. And that's the type of game they're making, this type of cooperate with your your team to bring down an enemy, combine your abilities, and pick a team comp that is balanced so you don't have too much of one type. The similarities to Shinobi Striker don't seem to end there. Maybe this is a new trend that Bandai Namco is setting for their new anime games. We also see some characters with some more powerful attacks like the Secret Jutsu or ultimate attacks in general, like this attack from Yami. It even has a small animation that plays before he unleashes it, which is typical of these type of ultimate attacks. They're very powerful, so they need to give the enemy some warning that, hey, some big damage is coming your way, maybe dodge it. I think that's what we're looking at here, and the more I analyze this trailer, the more Shinobi Striker I see in it. There are no game modes announced yet, but looking at this specific section of the trailer, this seems to be a capture point or a King of the Hill sort of situation. So game modes in Quartet Knights might also be objective oriented, just like Shinobi Striker, and not the team deathmatch that we usually expect from the get-go when something like this gets announced. The focus on the game also seems to be the multiplayer aspect. I mean, it's very early in development, they haven't said too much about it, but their first trailer is about 4v4 action. The focus is on multiplayer. But of course with this I don't mean to say that this is the same game as Shinobi Striker with a different skin, not at all. Gameplay is obviously just very, very different. There's also no character creation, at least not so far. I'm just saying that structurally the game actually feels kinda similar. Team-based, 4v4, fighting in arenas. There is, however, a small hint towards a story mode at the very end of the trailer, with a sentence reading, "A brand new story begins." So I think that's a very big hint that it won't be multiplayer exclusive like Shinobi Striker. There might be some story component to it. And if there's not, I mean, why even tease that thing? Well, that's pretty much all I could figure out from this very, very small trailer. It was like 1 minute long. There are some arenas that are showcased at the beginning of the trailer, which show some nice variety in scenarios, and I'd say this trailer is enough to leave me curious. I want to know more about it. I want to keep covering this game as stuff gets announced, even if I'm not the biggest fan of the anime, and I think that's a huge compliment to how this game presents itself. Like a week ago I posted a poll on YouTube asking which anime game do you want me to cover next, and Black Clover was the one that got the most votes. But the votes were so close that I'm probably just gonna make videos about the other games in the coming days. But anyway, thanks for watching today's video. Let me know in those comments down below, what do you think of the game so far? I always love reading you guys' first impressions. It's always great to compare how everyone is receiving these games, and those are some of my favorite comments to read every single time I make one of these videos. Last week we talked about One Piece World Seeker and how optimistic I am about that game. You can watch it right here. If you're in the mood for something else, there's also the video at the bottom. But as always, thank you very much for watching. My name's Globku. Happy holidays everyone, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.